Morning, noon, and night I care about her. And you hurt her.
Who are you referring to?
Camilla.
Why would I care about her?
Because I care about her! Morning, noon, and night I care about her! And you hurt her!
Alright, hello everyone. So The Crown is finally over. The clickbait title for this video is probably going to be, I watched the final season of The Crown so you don't have to. But basically the goal of this video is basically like you're talking to that one friend who watches all the shows, and then now you can go to your friends and act like you've like seen the show and make jokes and like fit in. It's like when you watch a YouTube video or documentary about the thing and then you go to parties and like pretend you read. That's basically what this video is here for. So let's just go through The Crown's final season. First half of this season, or the second last season overall, I covered in a previous video saying that I liked Ghost Diana, but basically this whole season was basically a 4-hour long movie about the kind of last moments of Princess Diana. Now, it was a departure for The Crown. It stopped being this show that bounced around all the different lives of the royals and really just honed in on Diana and Dottie. Was the pacing hurt by this? Was there a bunch of made up shit? Was there a Ghost Diana? All of the above are yes. What I unironically appreciate about the first half of this season is The Crown went from this slow, plodding, methodical, like highbrow, high art show about royalty. It was very pompous and very restrained. This season about Diana was like, fuck it, party time. We're gonna make a schmaltzy, over the top soap opera and we're gonna have fun doing it. And you know what? It kind of hit my brain right. It was basically like Desperate Housewives meets The Crown. It was wild. There were conversations that never happened that were made up. There were historical inaccuracies. It was all over the place. It was all over the place. But the thing is, I got sucked in. Once it started getting to Diana's final moments and everything that led up to that, I was like, holy shit. Fuck, you know? But in saying that, the final season that has come out now recontextualizes that first half. The reason that I say the last season kind of makes that Diana season look better is that this last season is basically entirely focused about giving an episode to a few different people at a time and basically serving as like mini movies for these characters you might be interested in. For example, midway through, there is an entire episode that focuses just on Princess Margaret, right? And Queen Elizabeth and their relationship. It shows Princess Margaret's final days, which by the way were fucking horrifying. We'll get into it. But then it also shows when they were younger and they snuck out for a night on the town. For example, another episode is entirely about Kate Middleton and this like honey boo boo level stage mum she has, who's trying to like coercive control her daughter's way into the life of like Prince William. And it fucking works. Is that made up? Apparently yes. Like apparently there's no proof that her mum was doing that. But like the fact that the show went, fuck it, this will be fun TV. Hilarious, right? I love it. And then there's another episode that is literally just the Queen planning her funeral. And here's the thing. Does the idea of an hour and 10-minute long episode of the Queen just kind of like planning her funeral kind of sound a bit dull? Like, yes, all right, it does sound fucking dull. I could show you like any scene from this episode like without context and goddamn is it dry. But when you're watching it front to back, there's a scene with bagpipes that I was just riveted by. And like nothing happened. You know, like I sound like a madman. If you haven't watched the show and I go, dude, there's this episode where the Queen invites her favorite bestie bagpipe player in and gets him to like do the song that he's going to play at the funeral and lets him choose the song. And it was like the most earth-shattering, heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen. I just sound like a lunatic. But when you're watching it, you're like in it. You know, you're like, fuck yeah, here we go.
I hope you know how much everyone appreciates your beautiful music every day.
Thank you, Mum.
They've got me planning my funeral at the moment, and I'm in the process of choosing the music and wondered if there was a tune for the pipes you thought might work. But is there a particular one that you like?
Well, me? Mum.
Yes, pipes. You.
That's the beauty of this last season, is it kind of embraces just being like a weird over-the-top soap opera with these characters you know, and as a result, I found it compelling. Is it a bit immature compared to The Crown's early days? Yeah, but like, So those are sort of my like initial thoughts, right? So we're going to go episode by episode, and as I go episode by episode, I'll fill you in on like funny moments, kind of relevant details. So yeah, again, you can like go to friends and be like, oh yeah, I saw The Crown, I know about the royal family, blah, 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 blah. Also, on top of that, I will provide sort of like critical points and critical analysis where I can. So hopefully you get something out of this video. The first episode of season 6, part 2 is titled Will's Mania. A wild title. The plot description here is: hounded by the press and adoring girls, William, 15, who by the way looks about 27, struggles to find stability after Diana's death. Charles enlists his own parents to help his son. This first episode is basically just William being like sad. It kind of just is. A lot of it is just him returning to school and kind of finding his place in the world and kind of the sort of like unrest and mourning. The most interesting scene I guess I found in this episode was this montage of kind of like all... the most interesting section in this episode to me, and the most standout scene of this episode was where all the adults and fellow students were sending their condolences to William, and they were all these really heartfelt, like, we love the royal family, we'll be here for you, like, we miss you on the water polo team, blah, 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 blah. My favorite part about this montage is it slowly descends into this like dark comedy horror section. Where basically all these young, horned up, thirsty teenage girls who basically saw young Prince William walking the casket of his mother on TV and basically went, oh my God, daddy, and have started sending him all these love notes and sex notes and like, oh my God, you look so good. Oh my God, like I love the royal family. Like, oh my God, like if you ever want to be sad with me, like come and be sad with me.
Contains letters from all around the world. Mostly, I think, from young ladies.
I thought this scene was like really effective. It was equal parts sad and dark as it was a bit humorous for me. Like I can't help but laugh a bit. Aside from that though, I must say this episode just kind of spins its wheels a lot. You get an introduction to the Prime Minister, Tony Blair, I believe his name is, and he is a great, hilarious character. So basically, for those who don't know, and I didn't know much, Tony Blair is like the Prime Minister, and the Queen just like doesn't like him that much.
The Prime Minister has a new nickname, King Tony.
My God.
Oh, also, I forgot to mention, in this really serious prestige show, they literally give the Queen, like the actual Queen, like a nightmare section, right? She has a nightmare of the Prime Minister being crowned the king. And then literally wakes up like, hilarious. The best part of this season is the Queen basically going, shit, no one likes the royal family because they think we fucking murdered Diana. Basically, the Queen is like, oh no, everyone thinks we murdered Diana and now the public does not like us. Tony Blair, can you please explain to us how to win back the court of public opinion? And then Tony Blair comes in and he's basically like, you're spending too much money, you're unrelatable, like no one likes that. And then she's kind of like, isn't part of the monarchy to be unrelatable? To be desirable. Hilarious. Like, I love it. I could have watched 4 hours of Tony Blair and the Queen just like figuring this shit out. There was this great little montage, I forget which episode it is, where they're basically interviewing like all the useless roles of the like monarchy. They get this old geriatric dude who's like, I have been enlisted to take care of the glassware of the house.
Yeoman of glass and china pantry. It's my job to supervise the glassware and earthenware across all the royal palaces. I oversee stocks. I guard against any damage and breakages.
On top of that, my skills also extend to folding napkins in the way that the Queen likes them.
My responsibilities also include folding all 170 of the embroidered white linen napkins.
Oh, that's you.
Yes, ma'am.
You are clever. How on earth do you do that?
Few have truly mastered the Dutch bonnet napkin fold.
I love it. There's also another dude who's like, I am the official swan man of the monarchy. I supervise the quantities of swans and am also in charge of deciding which swans we acquire.
Laws, orders, and customs, swans. The authoritative text, for what was then the keeper of the King's Swans, is have been guiding us for centuries, since 1482 by my reckoning.
The best part is you don't even get an answer as to who they cut or who they didn't. It feels like it's just a montage highlighting just the level of excess that the monarchy like revels in. Next we have the second episode, which is technically episode 6 of the entire season, Ruritania. Eager to improve the monarchy's public image, the Queen seeks out savvy statesman Tony Blair, but the Prime Minister's advice defies royal protocol. Okay, so that's the episode where she like teams up with Tony Blair. She doesn't really like him. She gets the ick from Tony Blair, but he's like, nah, change this, change this, change this. Over the course of the season, they do start like working together, and it gets really, really funny. Like he's a great character, and watching them slowly come on board with each other is great. But I guess this is another episode that also felt like it was spinning its wheels a bit, I must say. But oh my God, there is a section where Tony Blair, during his like prime minister campaign, he basically speaks to this like massive feminist group, like this arena of feminists, right? Like just a massive arena. Like literally I was like sitting there being like, is there a man? No man. Very, very heated feminist at that. And he goes in with like good intentions and he just gets like eaten alive. And at one point, I think he drops the word radical and they start to like turn on him. And then basically they get so sick of the fact that like this guy is like talking to them that they basically start slow clapping him until he has to like leave the stage. Like it's these like massively passive aggressive slow claps. And you like see the hurt in him and he's like, oh, jolly good fun. Okay, I see you're a bit sick of me. And then the slow clapping like intense. So he's like, okay, I'll just go and kill myself.
House of Lords, taking drastic action against hereditary privilege. Thank you very much. Look, the world is changing fast. Oh, okay, right.
I'll just go and kill myself. I'll just die. And it's so funny because for a while he's like trying to be like civil and like turn into a joke. He's like, okay, yes, okay, I've been waffling on a bit, yes. And then it keeps going and eventually he's like, okay, I'll go fuck myself. That is fine, I will leave. So funny. Love it. We have episode 7, Alma Mater. Now at university, William sets his sights on Kate Middleton. With meddling parents and other prospects in the mix, their connection struggles to bloom. Right, so basically this episode is the meet cute of Kate Middleton and William. Basically, we get this awesome backstory, right? With a honey boo-boo, like stage mom type woman, mother of Kate Middleton, who's basically sitting there for the entire episode. You need to go catch some royal dick, and it needs to be Prince William's. I don't know what type of mum who isn't like a socialite just like wakes up one day. Like this is just like, for all intents and purposes, like a pretty regular family. Just kind of like wakes up and she's like, you know what, Kate? You're gonna go get royalty. Like, according to this show, the mum's just been sitting there like slowly being like, maybe you should go to this school because William, a guy you don't know, went to that school. Maybe you should go on this camp to Africa because William might be there. It is the type of behavior that spits in the face of feminism so much that the suffragettes are probably like spinning in their graves. Like, it's just absurd, right? Kate, you are here to do one thing and one thing only, and that's to marry this specific rich guy that like you don't even know. And on top of that, she pulls it off. Like, straight away.
Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, like a drug.
So basically from there, William like goes to college and all his friends are like, oh gosh, look at Kate, she is a fucking fox. And then he goes, all right, settle down lads, and then like goes to his fucking room and just like obsesses over Kate. But he actually has this like punky, abrasive, unladylike other girlfriend, right? That's how the show's framing her, I guess, because she likes to have fun and is like a bit promiscuous. She's not a good fit for William. The show is very much clearly painting her as the other woman, even though he was with her first. And basically he lays eyes on Kate, and you know, the punky girl he was with starts just becoming like background noise. There's basically this great scene where he starts talking to Kate in the library and they start like flirting, right? Like they were flirting. Like nothing sexual and flirtatious was said, but clearly like they wanted to like rip each other's clothes off, right? So look, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the punky chick comes up and goes, are you flirting with Kate? Are you flirting with that girl? And he's like, absolutely not. We're just friends. Which like, no, like you're not. And then basically they start having like a 3-way fight. Kate starts like prodding at her a bit. And then on top of that, another girl comes up and goes, excuse me, William, can I please get your autograph? And he goes, can you bugger off? And then Kate's put off from him. Kate catches the ick. She starts hanging out with the boyfriend. That upsets William. He keeps trying to court her. Eventually they end up dating because he goes to her fashion show, but I don't think that happens in this episode. They both eventually leave their respective partners. Kate was with some guy that was like way better looking than William, but like drops him because like, what are you going to do? William comes knocking. Are you not going to like date him? There's this really funny scene where like William goes to Kate's house for lunch and they literally ask no questions about himself or his own ambitions. They're just like, oh, tell us about the Queen. Tell us more about the Queen. Tell us more about the Queen. Tell us more about the Queen. Oh, the Queen's on TV. Tell us more about the Queen. Tell us. So fucking good.
What does she think of him?
President Blair.
Is that what she calls him?
That was a joke.
Also, while we're on the topic of William, I need to give the show some credit and also some criticism. I think the guy that they got to play Prince Harry was fucking amazing. All right, now, he does not look like Prince Harry. The only thing he has in common is the fact that he's ginger.
You won't call me ginger, lass, you're ginger yourself, yeah. Only a ginger can call another ginger.
All right, like that's the only reason. Body-wise, face-wise, doesn't look like him. He turns in one hell of a performance, just like charismatic, awesome. I would watch an entire spin-off just about this version of Prince Harry played by this guy.
I'd enjoy the freedom sometimes of not having to be the sensible one, the reliable one, and welcome the opportunity to be the likable rogue.
No chance of that.
Why is that?
To be a likable rogue, you first need to be likable.
Fantastic performance. William, on the other hand, a bit of a mixed bag. Definitely looks like him, but a bit up and down. I think he kind of got the role because he looks like young Prince William, whereas with the one that plays Harry, I feel like that was actually just like a great performance, and he got away with not looking like him as much. In saying that, there was this completely unhinged Reddit post I saw, I could not believe, on the Crown subreddit. Someone was basically like, I've seen the trailer for the new Crown. Why is the 15-year-old Prince Harry in this show not way more hot? In real life, 15-year-old Prince Harry was like way hotter. And I just loved someone coming out and basically just like admitting to the world that they're mad that like a child character is not sexually appealing enough to them. Like, good on them.
A post by u/Melly651, as read by Marshall Stannis. Young Prince William was supposed to be good looking. Why did they pick such an average looking actor to play him? Discussion. Don't mean to be rude, but the actor looks nothing like William and is average looking. Surely they could have found someone who at least looked like him.
Next, we have maybe the highlight of the season, Season 6, Episode 8, which is titled The Ritz. This is one about that beautiful party young Queen Elizabeth and young Princess Margaret went to. Just an incredibly effective episode. Basically, simultaneously, what is happening is you are watching flashbacks to like this fond memory that Princess Margaret and the Queen had, where they let loose a little, and the Queen never lets loose because she's so proper. Basically cuts from the past to the present, where Princess Margaret is dying. And like, not just like a cutesy little Crown-like death. Like, she's having strokes, she's losing the plot, she can't really speak anymore. There is this like harrowing, horrific scene where she like has a stroke in a bathtub and like burns her ankle. And they like play it out in real time. It's like genuinely like painful to watch. But I love this episode. This episode, very few jokes are going to come out here because this was just like tragic. It was just sad. It was just both the Queen and young Princess Margaret sort of just like reflecting on like, oh yeah, we had this amazing night and we never got to talk about it and it was really naughty of us to do and we never behaved like that again, but like, wow, look at us young girls. When it cuts forward, it's like this divide they have, right? Because like they don't connect in that way. Princess Margaret wants to be provocative and fun and still do all these fun things, and the Queen is too busy being, you know, the Queen. Yeah, so like that doesn't happen. I actually thought for all the shit that The Crown has got lately that this episode was an absolute highlight, an absolute masterwork. Even though I've been saying that this show has been like a bit soap opera-y and a bit clunky, there is one subtle moment that actually was a payoff between episodes, not even in the same episode, that I have to give massive props to. All right, so basically there's this section where William is trying to give his report card results to the rest of the family, and you have the Queen, Princess Margaret there, and then the Queen and Princess Margaret's older mother, right? So the great-grandmother or something. For now, we're going to just call her great-granny. So basically, great-granny throughout this section where William's trying to give the report cards keeps missing things. She keeps going, sorry, I can't hear you. She keeps having all these like old person, like dementia moments. Prince Harry even starts making jokes where he goes, oh yes, he got an A+ for fart class. And she goes, art class? And that's kind of a running joke throughout. And eventually great-granny does another like mishearing dementia moment blunder, and Prince Margaret actually goes, oh, can someone just shoot her and put us out of our misery? Ugh. And everyone kind of laughs.
See you, biology.
No, see you what?
Biology, Mummy.
A in geography.
Oh, great. Aren't you clever? A in what? Oh, someone tell her.
Geography, Granny.
That must be the only A ever in this family.
And B in history art.
Fair. B in what? Oh, somebody shoot her.
Now that's very in line for Princess Margaret as a character, but the reason this jumps out to me is it's not just like a funny joke, but later on, Princess Margaret becomes that. She has a stroke, she can't talk anymore, she can't take care of herself, she can't bathe, she can't walk properly. She has this horrific incident in the bath, and then there's this amazing section where she's at a dinner table with the Queen, with herself, and with Great Granny, and now Great Granny is going, oh, what did she say? I can't understand her. Oh, can she speak up? I can't understand her.
Her voice is a little odd. What did she say?
I think it was anticoagulant.
I just think it's interesting because Princess Margaret in that earlier scene was kind of looking at her grammar as kind of like an obligation that they need to like include, and now she's become that.
It's powerful, it's effective, and it's tragic. And it's made more tragic because Princess Margaret was the one that previously was going, oh, can we shoot this woman and put her out of her misery? But now the shoe is on the other foot. Do we think she feels differently now that she's in that position? Great writing. And on top of that, there's no like dumb character that comes out of the room and goes, oh, you know, it's funny. Princess Margaret was always the one that was rushing Granny to die, but now she's in that boot. Like, no one says that, you know? It's just like a blink and you'll miss it moment, a parallel that I felt proud for picking up on. And I hope, God damn it, that it was intentional on the writer's part because it was so good. Next, we have episode 9, Hope Street. Reeling from loss and wary of her golden jubilee, the Queen bonds with William, who finds his footing between normality and life in the royal limelight. There's this amazing section. So basically, Dottie's father, now for those who don't know, Dottie was the lover of Princess Diana. They both died in that car crash. Dottie's father is basically launching an investigation into the royal family and Diana's death and Dottie's death, basically saying that they were murdered by the royal family because the royal family does not like her, right? He's going on TV and he's just talking smack. He's been like, they fucking killed my boy and that beautiful Diana. They were meant to get married. Diana had a baby. Blah, 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 blah.
1 hour before. And it's there enjoying, having great fun, dinner, and say, Daddy, on Monday we're declaring our engagement. I'm going home now, having a bottle of champagne. I'm going to give her the ring. I bought the ring.
Basically, you get this incredible montage where they're going around interviewing the boys, interviewing Charles, and basically like, you know, putting together a case. There's this amazing section which actually happened in real life where you find out that Diana was genuinely scared of being murdered by the royal family and said that if they were going to do that, they would tamper with her car.
Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, stoked these claims by sharing a letter she supposedly wrote years earlier, expressing fears of a planned car accident.
Are you aware of a letter written by the princess and discovered by her butler, Paul Burrell, in which she wrote of her suspicions that you were plotting a deliberate brake failure in her vehicle?
Very suspicious, but it was found that the royal family had no involvement and it was just a drunk driving accident. But incredible sequence where you're watching the way they investigate it, you're watching the computer recreations, amazing. The infighting between Prince Harry and Prince William is fucking sick. There's this moment where Prince William goes to Prince Harry and he's like, you know, you're so lucky that you're the spare, you know, you're so lucky that you don't need to be the one that everyone's proud of. You don't need to be the good son. You know, you're just automatically likable. And why don't I get to be the likable son? And then like Prince Harry is like, well, first off, you need to be likable for that to be possible.
I'd enjoy the freedom sometimes of not having to be the sensible one, the reliable one, and welcome the opportunity to be the likable rogue.
No chance of that.
Why is that?
To be a likable rogue, you first need to be likable.
So fucking good. Now, another thing I want to mention before I forget which episode. Basically, Prince William and Charles have this like father-son fucking like blowout, and it's so cool, all right? Prince William gives Charles an absolute smackdown. He basically goes, it's your fault mum died. To which Charles goes, our marriage ended ages ago, and it was actually my suggestion that she keeps the monarchy's security. It was not my fault that she was where she was when she died or in the car. And then Prince William's like, but you drove her into the hands of the person that was responsible for her death, so it is your fault, Daddy.
Her choice. With that man, those people, again, her choice. Without any royal protection, that was not my doing. I always said she needed police protection, but she should never have been anywhere near the fires. She should have been safe with us, and the fact that she wasn't is your fault. And no, you didn't actually drive the car, but you drove her into the arms of those that did. Even suggest it was is outrageous. Is it? Yes. I resent the accusation. You always try to outshine one another. No one ever outshone your mother. You think I'm just like her. and you hate me for it.
So good. Just a great scene. Probably like the highlight argument of the show. But in terms of this episode, what we get, there is a great scene where Prince William basically goes to the Queen and is like, yo, Queen, I really like this girl, Kate. Like, can I get some like grandmummy advice? It's good because it's equal parts like sweet, where the Queen's giving like really gorgeous advice of like, if it's meant to be, you guys will have your time together. But then in the same breath, she'll be like, oh, we don't want an unclassy woman. Oh, she eats dinner at the kitchen table? Disgusting. Ugh. Well, maybe we can figure out a place for her if we must. So funny. Such a great conversation. We also have these great sections with Tony Blair. And basically the conversations start being about the Queen's funeral. Prince Charles's arc this season is basically he wants to marry Camilla. Outrageous, right? Like that's his arc this season. He wants to marry Camilla after Diana has died. Now I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the Queen is like, why on earth do we want you to marry this woman in the public light when everyone knows you were blowing her back out while you're meant to be blowing Diana's back out? We are not doing that. We are not doing that. And Charles is like, please, mummy, I really like her. I've liked her for 30 years almost. And the Queen's like, all right, bet, we'll go figure it out. Now, the Queen eventually talks to the priest and they're like, yeah, I don't know how we feel about Charles publicly marrying his mistress, right? I don't know how we feel about that. Doesn't set like a good message. I don't think God would be very happy. And then she's like, I think God would be very happy if they were happy or some shit, right? And then they're like, all right, we'll reconsider it. But basically, he's going to acknowledge how much of a piece of shit he was, and she's going to have to acknowledge how much of a piece of shit she was during their wedding day. That's the punishment that God decides. So then we get to season 6, episode 10, where basically the Queen gives Charles the green light to wed Camilla, and then he goes to Camilla. I love how they've portrayed Camilla because she is just a stone cold ice queen. So Charles literally like runs like a fucking goober. Right? Like the lamest run I've ever seen to be like, yo, Camilla, like, I can marry you. And he like kind of gets down on one knee and then she's like, fuck that, get up, give me a hug. I have to assume what it's getting at here is like Camilla's known they're going to get married or be together forever. And at this point, it's just like a technicality. But like, show a little excitement. Like, goddamn. Like, Charles has literally faced so much public scrutiny. Like, come on, you know? Like, he's excited. He's like, Mummy said yes. And I think she's annoyed because it's like, why do you need Mum's permission? But like, in this setting, in the point where you're in the monarchy, like I think you have to kind of acknowledge that, oh yeah, Mummy's approval probably means a lot. The same way when like Meghan Markle got in the royal family and she's like, they expected me to like curtsy. It's like, yeah.
Curtsied as though I was like...
Yeah, like come on, like really? Like, of course they did. Tasked with planning her own funeral ahead of her 80th birthday, she faces an existential crisis. So basically the whole final episode of The Crown is you get the Queen kind of planning her funeral. Very interesting. You also get like this Avengers Assemble moment where essentially like the old actresses that played the younger versions of the Queen in the previous versions of The Crown show up and like monologue with her. Sort of lazy writing, but like I can't pretend it wasn't exciting to see Claire Foy and Olivia Colman pop up again. You know, you get the money shot, right? At the end of the show, they all stand there in front of the camera like a fucking superhero. You basically, the last episode is the Queen just going like, oh, well, eventually I'm going to die, so even though I'm not going to die yet, let's get planning. Another highlight of this episode is you get a dramatization of when Prince Harry went to a party dressed as a literal Nazi. You get the scene where he's in the costume shop and Kate and William are like, ha ha ha, maybe don't do that. And he's like, ha ha, fuck yeah, I will do that. Then you get the people taking the photo. Then you get it leaking out. Then you get this hilarious scene where the king calls up the costume shop and just like tells them off and is like, oi, it's not even like an accurate Nazi costume. What the fuck? I love here that the king is basically like, oh, you know, boys will be boys. Harry's Harry, but that fucking costume shop, how dare they get the Nazi uniform wrong? Oh my god. So he like calls them up and berates them.
Yes.
So I phoned the costume rental shop, gave them a piece of my mind.
Why?
What will it take to get you to understand? Should I draw it in solid crayon? The uniform was inaccurate. The German Afrika Korps never wore swastikas.
But that whole section was great. I love Prince Harry this season. There's this great section where Prince Harry is like shooting cans off the royal palace. Did this happen? Probably not. Is it awesome to watch? Fuck yeah.
Are you guys going to Harry's birthday party? Definitely. When is it? Next week.
Now, apparently the writers like read through Spare as inspiration for this season, and like it shows. Prince Harry is arcing up. He's been rebellious. The highlight of this episode for me is actually Camilla and Charles's wedding. The Queen gets up, and boy, does she have jokes, all right? She has fucking bangers. She basically gives like a very comedic speech, basically like the equivalent of a fucking celebrity roast. Basically, it was like, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm the mother, ha ha ha, because like, you know, it's the Queen. And then from there, she like chews out the boys for the Nazi outfit. She kind of like makes some jokes about the fact that Camilla and Charles were like tapping boots out of wedlock. Hilarious. Overall, this season was sick. Those are the notable highlights if you want to like go tell your friends like, oh yeah, I know about the royal family and the crown in like a very like simplistic, bro-y way. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like me to talk about anything else, please let me know and have a lovely day.